Well, that was a quick turnaround because just 5 months ago, Janet Yellen was behind a quickly inserted bill by an obscure U.S. senator into the budget negotiations a few months ago. This bill was very much not crypto friendly. There has been a very big about face on that sooner than I expected it would happen. Let's get into why that might be the case and what it likely means for crypto's future. Let's also get into some news, a look at the charts for Bitcoin, and some alts. And let's see if we still think that massive leg of the bull run is coming, and talk about some hidden landmines that may still happen. Welcome to the Crypto Rain channel. I'm your host, Jay Rain. Now, if you like money in crypto and you're looking for a real investor's take on the crypto market, join the Rainmaker family by liking this video and subscribing with that all notification bell enabled. Do note that I'm not a financial advisor. I'm a crypto investor myself, sharing with you how I think about the crypto market and specific cryptos I like. Also note that I do own or plan to own most of what I talk about on this channel because I don't talk about crypto projects I don't believe in. There's over 15,000 projects out there. I'm specifically an investor, and I share with you what I like and what I like about it and what I'm buying. Special thanks to our Patreon members. We just got done with our pre-live stream. I love the family that's there. Also, our Telegram group, the Telegram you can join for free. The Patreon members get access to a private Discord, and that's where we have a pre-live stream on Fridays. There is a link below to our Patreon if it's of interest to you. It is a closed group there, and there's even more I'm able to discuss there that I can't in other settings. When you join us there, you will see what I'm talking about. Now, one often says at the beginning of videos that this is sponsored content. We do have a strategic relationship with OneChain, which has been good to us, and they give us 500 won every month to give away to the audience. We will give away some OneChain today. So make it rain on that like button and strap in for the show, and let's welcome our producer, D-Money.
What is up, Jay? How's it going today, man?
Fantastic. I am very bullish about what's going on. And surprise, surprise, what a flipper about face from Janet Yellen, right? Who has been
right.
The crypto there, right? Oh, let's take the U.S. regulatory means and let's shut this thing down to protect consumers.
Yeah, no, my jaw about hit the floor when I saw the video that we're going to show a little bit later. And, you know, I mean, it wasn't like, all right, roll out the red carpet and you know, I mean, it wasn't that, but it's a significant about face. So yeah, it's pretty exciting to see.
It is, and it's the kind of discussion, reading her body language, somebody had it talking to her, probably on the politician side, because she is an appointee. She answers to politicians and the people running the Biden administration. And so somebody had a severe talking to her, as my read on her body language. Why don't we fill in the audience on what's on our mind by sharing that video?
You want to do it right now, or should we start the party?
Oh, yeah. Well, let's roll into this video. This time we're going to start the party by Janet Yellen turning bullish on crypto.
All right, let's do it.
Couldn't get through an interview without asking about crypto, but in particular, Russia just said that they would accept Bitcoin as a payment for their energy resources. What does that say to you about where we are in the crypto conversation?
Well, crypto is obviously grown by leaps and bounds, and it's now playing a significant role, not really so much in transactions, but in investment decisions of lots of Americans. And the president just issued a couple of weeks ago an executive order tasking us and other agencies with thinking about the regulation of crypto.
I mean, you're less skeptical about it than in previous. I mean, we've been talking about it together for a long time now, and I think you've had a skepticism about crypto technology.
I have a little bit of skepticism because there are, I think, valid concerns around it. Some have to do with financial stability, consumer investor protection, use for illicit transactions and other things. On the other hand, there are benefits from crypto, and we recognize that innovation in the payment system can be a healthy thing. We would like to come out eventually with recommendations that will create a regulatory environment in which healthy innovation
And then
can
finally,
thrive.
Yes, a few things went on there. First of all, look, the mainstream media says I can't go a single financial conversation without crypto being brought up. Janet Yellen's like, oh yeah. And her body language, though, if you watch her body language, her arms are moving and her head is moving, but this is completely still, other than a little bit of shaking as she moves her arms, which says she's uncomfortable. And also, it usually is a sign that somebody's lying when they're locked like that. I don't know what she would be lying about, but it tells you uncomfortable in the situation. It might be that, she's been persuaded to go a certain direction with it by the politician. And it seems like the Biden administration has gone bullish on crypto. We're going to talk about that in a second. Do you notice also one other big thing that happened in that video? Denomination of oil in Bitcoin.
Right.
We just talked about that.
Right.
I just said in the future, it's probably that's going to be what is denominated. And Russia is already going that way. Now, whether the rest of the world does that or not, of course, Russia is going to make that decision. They are the red-headed stepchild of the world right now, and everyone is not being friendly with Russia for very, very good reasons.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and they're probably just like, yeah, Bitcoin, sure. Like, we'll take that. Like, we'll take anything right now, right? Like, certainly don't pay us in rubles.
Right. I've heard that Russia is like a third world country with a gas pump. And so, it's that gas pump. They are I'd say resource rich. They've directed their whole economy towards resource extraction because that's where their money source is, because their economy is crap. There's so much corruption there. Now, what is it that's causing this big change? That's the bigger question, right? And perhaps a complete change in South Korea, where the incumbent didn't even rerun again after being very crypto unfriendly, really doing everything to protect consumers, even limiting how much you could make per day in a play to earn game to some absurdly low number. And so the two politicians that were running against each other for that seat were trying to outdo each other to be the most crypto friendly. The U.S. politicians had a wake-up call as well when late last year, a Democrat senator reportedly working with Yellen to push through some legislation that it is suspected that Yellen was behind into some bill that was before the Senate at the time. Now, because of some political wrangling, all the debate was shut down and the bill got included, even though a massive number of senators from both parties realized they had just stepped in a hornet's nest and were getting massively stung by their voters through hundreds and some thousands of phone calls to their offices. Additionally, at that point, many large crypto interests realized that the timing was very good to start putting together massive lobbying efforts. And whenever a disruptive technology comes in, there's a lot of pressure on the incumbent politicians to fight it. As humans, we don't like change. Incumbent politicians often owe favors to their large donors, who are often rich from a prior technology boom, and not usually from the disruptive technology in the early days. And so existing politicians often fight these breakthrough technologies. They often sell their actions for protections of the public. And part of it in their mind, they're justifying it with protecting the public because, if something massively goes wrong and a bunch of the public gets burned in something, they'll often blame the politicians in power. So a little bit of that is legitimate. Now, the U.S. has what are called midterm elections coming up late this year. Now, midterms are where the U.S. president is not on the ballot, but House of Representatives, they're all up for re-election every 2 years, and a third of the Senate is up for re-election. And so I'm sure this is weighing, it's that time period where they really start to focus in on getting reelected. And they're probably putting their fingers in the air and seeing what's popular. And notice how the State of the Union led with that paragraph about 15% of the population being in crypto. Do you think that's probably what's driving this huge shift? The current administration, probably from many of the Democrat senators. I mean, senators are very powerful. When I mentioned the one who's no name, I'm sure if he was watching the show, he'd be really, really pissed because it's a very powerful position and they're very, very pleased with themselves about how powerful they are. But probably the White House has been talking with some of their senators who, after that bill, they got stung by a lot of hornets, and like they're like, don't screw us in the upcoming election by being really crypto unfriendly. Wouldn't that make sense? Why all of a sudden this about face with Janet Yellen, who answers to these politicians, and they're supposed to implement the direction of the current White House? Well, why don't we take a second to look at the Bitcoin chart? We've been predicting a massive leg of the bull run still coming. And does this chart still look bullish? Now, I've used this chart a lot, and I've left up these lines because I think they're really helpful. If you look at what's happening here, though, it's fair to say this is a W. This is a W where this pump went pretty high, though. Often you see this pump going lower, and then it coming up to this. And then we're right at the point that it's at this resistance zone, massive resistance zone. It's going to be interesting to see what really happens here, whether it breaks down another time, and that's okay if it does, and then takes off. But it's retested this resistance a couple times since it hit this low. It came up, retested it, nope, got rejected. Came up, retested, got rejected. Now it's testing it again, and it may get rejected. If it doesn't, that is bullish. And what will often happen is they'll break through, come up to a next area of resistance, come back down and retest this as support, and then maybe be off to the races. Now, what are your thoughts? Are you starting to feel bullish? Now, here's a landmine that often happens. Sentiment, I do feel sentiment is starting to turn bullish. All this stuff in the news. Now, what sometimes happens is that there's some big FUD that comes in that blows up these hopes just very, very briefly for a few days, a week, maybe 2 weeks. Some articles come out there, and one last gasp that really shakes out a lot of people. They're starting to get hopeful, dashes those hopes. They then panic sell, and then it runs up like crazy. So just know that that might be coming, because it's the punches that you're unprepared for that hurt you the most. If you know it's coming, you can at least brace for it. I don't know that it's coming. It just often happens. And so emotionally, I'm a little bit numb and okay with this. Being in crypto for 4 years, I've taken all these emotional punches all the time. And after a while, you're just like, yeah, that was expected. So if you're new in crypto, I just don't get thrown off if something like that happens. Now, I want to start showing you a chart as we look at these altcoins, one that looks very, very boring. And this is why I like to buy projects that I feel are solid when they're boring. Now, look at this chart. I want to show you this chart, and look how boring this is. Okay, so this is actually Cardano. This was the 2017 run. And this was when everyone was talking crap on Cardano and calling it Cardalano and anything. And it was like the redheaded stepchild of crypto. At least a lot of people thought it was. This is when myself and some friends were just buying like crazy, because look how boring that was. Now, what's frustrating when you're buying one is boring. Some of my buys were all the way up here. I think my highest one was like 11 cents, and then went way cheaper, and then it came up, and then it went way cheaper, and I was like, shoot, I could have bought so much more. And many of you that are the true rainmakers that are still here after months of prices being savaged, that's probably going through your mind too. Crud, I could have had so much more if I had bought at the exact lows. And the truth is, how do you know? How do you know where exact lows? This is just part of it. Now, it's fair to say that you'd be really happy if you go back in time and buy any of these prices, even if it's 17 cents here, right? Why? Because you know what happened after. And isn't this a lot of what we've been looking at and buying when it was boring? And a lot of the charts that we're looking at, in fact, we'll look at a lot of charts, and they look a ton like this. Very boring. So the bigger question that's on our mind is this to follow. And I suspect it is for many of them. Why don't we take a look also? If you have, tell me the projects that you're looking at that are very boring, and but also tell us a little bit about what you like the project fundamentally. I know with the chat, limited on how many characters you can put in there, but tell us what you like about it. And then I'll pull it up and we'll take a look at it. So let's get started while we're waiting for some of your picks with what's on my mind. And one is Spores Network. Now, come on, Spores, go back down so I can just buy some more. I know, right? It's so hard. You get like, you see these really low prices, and probably it will on this chart. You know, there's not really a W. Notice that this is a lower low than up here. And so what'll often happen is it'll come back down for a higher low if it's ready to start taking off. But I'm very bullish on this one. This one's been as high as, let's see what it was at the top, 6 cents. I think it was even higher than that, and this chart just doesn't show it. And so if it just went back to, say, 10 cents, which I think it hit, that'd be a 33x from here. Now, notice this nice rounded bottom. This is a perfect example. Ooh, man. You know, I didn't go to school for art. Yeah, my drawing curves is not smooth, but notice that nice rounded bottom. That's exactly what I like to see. I'm very bullish on this project. I like the two founders of it. They're very sharp. They have good connection. They've been operating as a launch pad. In fact, they're launching Animal Concerts today as their IDO, and another one tomorrow. And I'm glad they got into that. While many of the things that they're doing are still coming to fruition, they're very heavy in the gaming side of crypto, and even some investments in the crypto gaming side. They're well connected. I really like the team, and it's the team that sets a lot of their trajectory. I'm very bullish on Spores for the longer term. Another one that's on my mind is Drife. Now, I know a lot of the audience members are very familiar with this, and Drife is a competitor to Uber, and they're using decentralization just to allow them to reduce the costs that it takes to manage drivers and then customers, right? So customers order a ride, so a driver shows up. They pioneered this in India, and then they've moved into other countries. And what happens is that the riders pay less and the drivers make more because there's less overall overhead than what Uber and some of the competitors have. And I would love to see this come to fruition. We did interview the CEO about a year ago, and she was exceptionally smart, well-connected, and the things I like to see. And they've been very cheap. And so I have been picking up Spores and Drife, even though I have a lot from way back here. Some of it in the prices that I look back and I'm like, man, I could have got so much more cheap. But it just is what it is. And so this is why I dollar cost average in when I like the pricing, because it's really hard to time that bottom. Let me check over in the chat. What have we got going on? D, any chats catch your attention?
Yeah, well, Abe wants to look at Solbank. Abe says Solbank is really boring. Well, only privacy coin in Solana. Brave browser integrated with Solana. Explosion for Solbank. Let's all cross our fingers. I have some Solbank. I know you have a lot of Solbank.
I have a lot, and I was just adding up if it hit some of my price metrics. So I had about 1.5 million Solbank, and I actually was hoping I had more, but part of it, my average price wasn't where I hoped it would be because it's come down a lot. And what's funny is Solbank was actually on my list to talk about today. So great question. Now this one is risky. And let me just share with you some of the risks and potential rewards. When I was new in crypto, there was this project that started taking off, and it was called Verge or VGX. And I know some people that, in fact, there's another YouTuber, his channel is Moon Mafia, CJ from Moon Mafia. And he had covered it when it was cheap. And he said his privacy narrative is great. And some of his audience bought it back then. And one guy put like several $1,000s into it. Well, it went like 1,000 or 2,000x. And it ended up, I think, peaking at like 22 or 23 cents. I didn't really understand the privacy narrative because I was new. And they haven't even really delivered on that. Their project is still around and trading. I have no idea what the team is doing with it and everything, but it had gone kind of dormant. And when he covered it, the market cap for it was like $300,000 or $400,000, or maybe even $200,000. It had been savaged, and people thought it was dead, and that the team wasn't very responsive and stuff. And look what happened. And isn't that the same thing we're seeing with Solbank? Their team has not been responsive on Telegram and stuff. And sometimes they just get burned out with handling all the FUD that happens, and they might have just tuned out. They're like, hey, now their app is out there working, kind of, but it doesn't have enough people using it to really hide the transactions. But the privacy narrative and the Solana ecosystem are all not in focus right now. But as it comes in focus, they're well positioned. Now realize that maybe it doesn't come together. It's a very high risk / high potential reward that could do very well. So yeah, unfortunately for me, the price is very far below what my dollar cost average price is. That I put significant funds in it and only have 1.5 million tokens. I'm looking at what would 1.5 million tokens cost me now? Probably less, 5% of what I put into it, maybe 10% of what I put into it. Why? Because I believe in the privacy narrative, and they were positioned on the Solana ecosystem, as well as they're supposed to be working on a bridge between Monero and Solana, which would be amazing because Monero is the #1 privacy coin out there. And if they did that, that would allow people with funds on Monero to bridge over to Solana. And I just think that narrative is well positioned. Is this one that I would go huge on? Well, I am huge on this. I did go huge on it. So do I wish I had waited to put that money until now? Oh, yeah, I really wish. But that is the problem. Like, I started buying Cardano when it was 11 cents, and it went down to 1.7 cents. I wish I had waited to all get it there, but fair to say 11 cents on some of it. And I did, my average price was probably 4 or 5 cents when I dollar cost averaged in, which is why I do that. But yeah, we don't get do-overs and stuff, and it's impossible to time the bottom right, just like it's impossible to completely time the top right. And that's why we take some of the approaches we do. So great suggestion. What else caught your attention, D?
Well, our buddy Chris Ashby says Bumper is so boring, beyond boring. Flooded into eternity, dubbed Dumper Finance. Great team, smart devs, designers, amazing use case.
Amazing use case. This might be one that's setting up for a home run, right? Let me ask you in the audience, do you like to buy cheap or buy high? Right. So what's funny is what's so enticing about buying high is that we have all this market confirmation that a lot of people are excited and bullish about it. What's hard is going against the trend. This is why when I was new in crypto, but I wasn't new to investing. I'd been investing for 20 years. And I wish I could say I made less mistakes when I was new at crypto than I did. But I did think some of the rules didn't apply, and I found they very much do. So what I look for is narratives that make sense, and I look for teams that I feel are strong. I feel like the team at Bumper, especially the CEO, are really, really strong. Their narrative is exceptional. It's a different way other than options for people to hedge upside and downside. It's amazing what they do and the way that they're accomplishing it, that only really cryptocurrency can unlock and allow. I do think their idea will change the world. But right now it's in those early days. Their launch didn't go very smoothly. It launched into a down market. So then you have a lot of short-term people that get all pissed off and they talk crap on it. And notice that every project's been through this. Cardano has gone through this. Polkadot's gone through this. Chainlink has gone through this. Even huge names. Especially these huge names, even ETH which became Aave, went through this back when ETH was dirt cheap before it went like 700 or 800x. So do I listen to those type of people? I do not listen to them. In fact, sometimes that's what catches my attention to buy more. Part of the reason I loaded up so much on Cardano is I heard a lot of stupid FUD. And I knew that stupid FUD brings prices to very attractive levels on projects that are like, now if people give like legitimate concerns, like a legitimate concern going back to Solbank, is that they're not engaging much on Telegram and other things. They're not doing any kind of marketing or anything. That's legitimate. And so then I look at what might be the reasons behind it and how concerned am I on it. I am concerned, but it's not like, doesn't make me totally out on that at all. In fact, I picked up some more a week and a half ago, even knowing that, but it is a concern. The concerns I hear about Bumper, to me, I hear very few of them that I'm concerned about. A lot of it is just stupid FUD. So thank you for calling it Dumper Finance. Keep that up. Gosh, could you please out there? I know it's not our audience, so unfortunately, I'm not talking to the people that I'd love to talk about. Please dump it all the way to a penny so I can buy it for 1/6 of what it's at. Buy more at 1/6 of what it's at. And I did buy some more, I think at 11 cents. And so 6 cents, I know it's really attractive, but boy, if you could just help me bring that dollar cost average down even cheaper, I'd really appreciate it, because good call by Chris Ashby, Bumper Finance, I'm very bullish on. All right, do we have any other ones? And
yeah, Medi is asking for Omi. We covered it briefly with Paul yesterday, but it's worth looking at. One thing that's interesting is that I don't know if everybody saw the news that CoinGecko fixed the market cap. And so it's interesting. It was like as high as what, like, I mean, I've seen it as high as like maybe 47 or something like that in the market cap. So now it's at 109. Explain what changed about it, Jay.
So you're talking about the circulating supply?
Yeah, and what that did to the overall market cap, because the market cap was showing at like 2.2 billion at one point.
No, it was showing way more than that. It was showing at 500 something billion out of their 750 billion max supply. So it's gone down to 267 billion for their circulating supply, which brought their market cap down a bunch, which I like, right? Because when I'm looking at, you want to see the Omi chart? Here's the Omi chart, but CoinGecko is the information up top is what I want to look at first, because this is extremely relevant to my investment decisions. So when the market cap was like at 4 billion, it was incorrectly at like 4 billion. It should have maybe been half of that at 2 billion. Now the price has come down, and so you see the market cap at 813 million, which is fantastic. I don't like to invest in things that have market caps at 4 or 5 billion. Personal preference. I know a lot of people out there invest a lot in blue chips, and I do during certain times. But when I think a massive leg of the bull run is coming, I want a smaller market cap, because it's easier for those to be able to 50x or 100x rather than a lot of the blue chips might 5x during that time period. And so I like that it properly reflected it, because when I saw $4 billion $4 billion market cap, I was like, can it go 100x from here? And the answer to that is, gosh, that would be a 400 billion market cap. It can, it's just less likely to. So when they corrected that, and when we dug into the tokenomics, that really only half of those were truly in circulation, even though it wasn't reflected. I was like, okay, the time that put it at $2 billion market cap, which is a much better number for 100x potential. Now, there's a lot of work to do for it to hit that. Now, 100x from here, way easier for, if I'm right on this leg of the bull run coming, for it to do. Now, am I right on this leg of the bull run coming? There is a lot of stuff coming into the news that says absolutely. And it's a big step that the U.S. is turning bullish on crypto. I expected this would happen. I just didn't expect this would happen so soon. And so fantastic that it is. Both Democrats and Republicans waking up to that if they want to stay in office, they better understand this better. Now, likely in the upcoming U.S. elections, my guess is there's some turnover there, and you have some, I think they'd call it freshman blood coming in. So these are new senators and new congressmen, and this brings down the average age of the politicians, which helps. So if we see a lot more like 35, 45, 55-year-olds coming in, they're way more likely to be crypto friendly than somebody who's 85, right? So, I hope that happens so that people don't mind meaningful rules. Meaningful rules are great. If you think about a stop signal, right? Why do they put stop signals in? Those are rules, but they're rules that decrease the number of accidents. And so it's not overburdensome rules either. They're a stop signal. And sometimes it is if they put stop signals in the wrong places. So meaningful regulation is like meaningful stop signals in the right places. And everyone's for that. So we'll see how far the politicians go. Sometimes the politicians' regulation means they restrict it so much because there's great power in that. So somebody once told me why politicians like to put in so many excessive rules. And they say because there's no power in only being able to say yes. The power is in being able to tell people no, because then they have to come to you, then they have to contribute to you in order to get the no to a yes. So this is why politicians like lots and lots and lots of regulation. Now they sell it to everyone on, this will be good for you and we're going to protect you and we're going to make sure you're safe. That's the sales pitch that they use, because if they came to you and said, we're going to put this in place so that we can get massive donations to our foundation or to my wife's job or whatever, then you're like, yeah, it smells like corruption. So they sell it in other means, but often the reasons behind it is because it increases their power. So everyone has to come to them to get a yes. So we'll see how far they go. Now, there was a revolution in 1994, I think. Bill Clinton in the U.S. won office in 1992. He actually went pretty far to the left his first 2 years. Nobody remembers that because the Democrats in that House and Senate lost massively savage. They lost tons of seats, massive amount of freshman blood, and these radical Republicans who did a contract with America, and they actually came in and slashed regulations by a lot on this new budding internet space and further deregulation on the phone companies. Remember, not regulation, deregulation. They went the other way. And that provided a huge boom to the U.S. economy because meaningful stop signs, not overburdensome stop signs. So that in order to get a green light, you have to come to them and pay $10,000 to meet with them over lunch, which is a lot of what happens. So, that happens behind the scenes. They don't tell you that outright in a recorded situation, but I'm very aware of situations like that's what has to happen. And they do that on purpose, but they sell it from meaning, your protection. So that's just some of the behind the scenes on politics. It's great what's going on in the U.S. We'll see if Canada also goes this way. I know that Justin Trudeau is too bullish on crypto. We'll see how the upcoming elections in Canada do as well. They don't have as much influence on the world as the U.S. does, though, which is why we often cover U.S. politics, because it's one of the most influential places in the whole world. What happens in the U.S. spreads a lot of ways. In the U.S., we covered the brain drain happening in India towards other countries, and a lot of their smart minds going to other countries to work in crypto because India has been very crypto unfriendly. Same thing's been happening in the U.S. It's amazing how many the CEOs and project leads that I've talked to, and I'm like, oh, where are you from? And they're like, oh yeah, I'm from California, or I'm from New York, or I'm from, oh wow, how long you been living abroad? 3 years, working in the crypto space, and they're living in Thailand, or they're living in Australia, or they're living somewhere else. Yeah, so the U.S. is already losing a whole bunch of money that they don't even realize by being crypto unfriendly, but it seems like they're starting to realize it. What else? Omi is not live on CoinMarketCap, Sailing says. Yeah, I haven't checked it. I use CoinGecko for the simple fact that when I go to CoinMarketCap, it takes a second for this space to come up, and that is the whole reason I switched to CoinGecko. Other than that, they have their different pros and cons. Yep, they're totally not functional right now there. It's all right. Go to CoinGecko. Buy high. Love it, says Medi. All right. What else? You see anything else, D? Or I'm going to get to some of my picks.
Yeah, no, go ahead and well, let's see. There was one other. So, who was it? It was Gut Back to Nature. Says Gala Games is showing good life. It's not the most boring thing out there. He's right about that. But we covered that. Didn't Paul? What was that last week that you and Paul covered that one?
I don't remember. I've talked about it a couple times lately. Interestingly enough, you brought up Gala. They have a competitor coming out that I got some details on. I was reading through it. Look, Bullish. They've been building in stealth for 9 months, and so I'd never heard of them before. It's Myria, MYRIA.com. My understanding is a billionaire hired a bunch of really high talented people to essentially build a competitor to Gala Games, which is going a very different route. I guess they're doing a token sale. I found this article on their token sale, but they're only selling off like 1.5% of their tokens. The bigger thing that they're doing is they're selling nodes. Now, this is the way Gala Games went too. By getting a node, you then have to connect it, and it processes the transaction. So essentially buying a node, you buy a license to run a node, and you run a node on a home computer. It has to be up at least 6 out of the 24 hours per day, and you get rewards every day in their token. So, and Gala's nodes, I think, started around $2,500 and now go for about $100,000 per node. But they do earn you a lot of passive income. So interesting what's going on with them. I wanted to share this. This is really cool in the article. The world's first interoperable morphling NFTs. That'll be interesting because some games you kind of have these type of characters in these. That'd be crazy if their stuff morphs. They are building a gaming ecosystem like Gala Games has, where there's multiple different games coming out. And so Metacart, Meta Rush, Block Private, so Star Strike Legends. So you're seeing this is going to be kind of like Farmville, what it looks like. I have Hot Slice Tycoon. Is there like a Pizza Tycoon type game or something?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Block Royale looks like Fortnite, right?
Yeah, that's exactly. Yes. And so it looks like they're making crypto versions of these different games. So I'm curious to see. I saw a video of Metacart, and it looked pretty fun, right? So they are bringing games that are closer to what we're used to, because one of the challenge with blockchain gaming is you have a bunch of blockchain crypto people building games, but like I'm a gamer myself, like we want really good games. So like I did invest in Axie Infinity. When I tried to play Axie Infinity, after about 3 hours, I wanted to scratch my eyes out trying to earn Smooth Love Potion. Broke down and just bought the Smooth Love Potion. That I needed to try the breeding mechanism to see how that would interact and try to really understand it so I could further gauge how I thought Axie Infinity would do. But it's definitely not in line with fun games that people would just play naturally. So if I think about where this is going, it's going towards what I call an ownership society. And I like ownership societies where people have ownership in things, because then you can get some value if what you own does well over time. So it allows people to have assets that could go up in value. In some of these games, I think some of these assets will go up massively in value. And so as a game that you play in the early days does well, possibly your bank account does really well. And I'm really, really interested in that idea and things going that way, as well as this whole idea of play to earn. So this is a different approach than a lot of games are taking. It'll be interesting. I'm trying to get more information from the team on this so I can look further into it. But I think they're trying to launch in like 5 or 6 weeks, and they're going to be making some kind of marketing pushes. Some other stuff I wanted to look at. So Decimated. Now, this is one of those blockchain games that is kind of like Call of Duty type game. I don't know that it looks pretty dang good. Call of Duty is like at the top, like highest level, right? They already know that their stuff works, and what they do is they make slight upgrades to it and everything, but there's no blockchain enabled there. So if they can deliver something really close to Call of Duty's gameplay and have good blockchain interaction, they can do well. But what's interesting is it seems like even though they would still be very much in their vesting curve, we'll see what happens here, but they're starting to slow down and possibly turn around. Now, if you've been a longtime follower of the channel, you know that we've talked about vesting schedules of new projects and the dangers associated with them, because there's some sell pressure created by their token vesting. A lot of projects decide to go this route that was really kind of innovated 2 years ago, where they squeeze down the initial token supply to a really small number, so that then, say, the initial market cap is only 200,000 because so few tokens are in circulation. And then when the market cap goes to like 10 million, they're like, yay, we 50x. And that gets the public saying, oh, that is a solid project because it 50x. But usually what happens from there is there's token unlocks, and they might be at 30 days. They might be at, a cliff for 3 months. Then tokens start coming into the ecosystem that then often gets sold off, and it brings the price down for a while. But there's sell pressure from that token vesting. However, the reason why it brings the price down is because the sell pressure exceeds the buy pressure. But when the market goes crazy, that little bit of sell pressure won't exceed the buy pressure. So I'm looking for information that tells me the buying is coming in stronger, perhaps stronger than the sell pressure. And maybe that is what's happening here. And that's why I want to bring it up. Another project that just so recent, not so recently launched, but that it did launch back in January, that I'm very bullish on, is Savage. And look at this. They should still very much be in their unlocks, I think. I don't know. I'd have to look at what their vesting schedule looks like if I can even find it. But look at that flattening there. That's interesting on a project that just launched so recently. All right, what else? This is some of the news. Let me see. That was a lot of, I did want to bring this up. This is one I covered a while ago. Look at this chart. Now, IX Swap is interesting. If you don't remember what IX Swap is, because I covered them a long time ago, they're a DeFi and CeFi platform for security tokens and fractionalized NFTs. So in other words, they're kind of like, think of a Uniswap for security tokens and specifically fractionalized NFTs. And they have a big launch coming out really soon, that they're actually launching their product. So I saw the news on that, and I looked at their chart, and I was like, Now maybe because the people anticipate this news coming out, it pumps and then it retraces. But remember how things often get savaged during their vesting schedule. Look at all the pressure pushing this up, while the price usually gets severely savaged. And we're seeing that across a number of projects. And so this is part of what has me, like, my conclusion that we're in for another massive run coming up. Maybe it ends up being sooner than I think, just like the change in the U.S. legislation, the policy and the sentiment with politicians out of the U.S. Interesting. I'm going to catch up for just a second. D, any comments that caught your attention? I want to look through the comments myself too.
Yeah, so Halftime, our buddy who's in here pretty often, Halftime USAA, says, hypothetically, say you're wrong about this coming pump. Do you think that we'll have the traditional 3 to 4 year crypto winter in the next bull run coming in 2025? And just kind of some of my thoughts, just as I guess, to add to the question, is like, if we've had lengthening cycles, or if that's kind of the thesis of this bull run, will the bear run have like maybe a shorter cycle, or the bear, like the crypto winter?
Very good question. Let's turn to some charts and let me share with you my thoughts on this. Okay, so when we say that there's a bull market every 4 years, or it looks like it's going to be 4.5 years now, and then the previous one might be bigger. This is a massive blow off top, but look at some interesting things that happened during this bear market, right? So, and even during all these, so here was the big run in 2013 here. And so this was kind of smooth here. Look at this. Nice and generally smooth here. This isn't smooth at all. Bloop. So in the middle of the crypto winter, they had a bull run. We had a bull run. I was here. It was mostly Bitcoin. Some altcoins popped off and went 10x and then retraced. But look at Bitcoin. So there is this lengthening cycle that's likely to happen, but you're onto something in that it's not going to be as cut and dry as it was in the past, and that things will run within. Because if you think about this, this was the Elon Musk and a DeFi pump. We actually had one in the summer too that was a DeFi pump. I don't know how much it affected Bitcoin so much as some of the altcoins like Aave went absolutely ballistic and stuff. That was July and August of 2020, went absolutely crazy, and Aave went nuts and a lot of DeFi stuff. We don't see it so much on the Bitcoin charts because Bitcoin, not so much. It was mostly an alt run in the middle of crypto winter. And we'll see more of that. The narratives will come into the cycle for whatever reason, and we'll see a pump. So we do see things. What tends to happen is that general awareness increases. A bunch of people put new money in. We have this massive blow off top that happens, and then a big retracement. And that's what I say this last leg of the bull run happens, and then we have a big retracement. But I don't think the crypto winter won't play out as clear as it. I mean, last time there was a big throw off too. I think it will continue to throw more curves as crypto isn't just Bitcoin anymore, and it's only really included altcoins strongly for the past 3 to 4 years. But going forward, some of these projects are going to have their own life cycles and become behemoths. Imagine if Drife becomes the #1 ride-sharing app in the whole world, right? So their token price isn't necessarily going to run with Bitcoin. Imagine if some of these other ones, Savage ends up becoming super big, like Shutterstock, where photographer or people that need for top-level photography and videography can buy there rather than Shutterstock, and the artists make so much more money. And Savage becomes the go-to place. Well, their token isn't necessarily going to run with the rest of the crypto market either. So there will continue to be some decoupling there, and we already see some of that decoupling already. That in the middle of this, Bitcoin wasn't doing anything, and yet the DeFi boom, those ones went, I mean, Aave did from where it was 100 to 200x. So great question. But hypothetically, rain is never wrong. Just kidding. Actually, have a fun thing to share about that. And the rain is always right section of today. As I was preparing for this, one of the charts that I pulled up was Matic. And I wanted to share that chart with you. I hope I still have it up. Did it get closed? If so, let me go to Matic. Oh, Solend is also one of the ones I like. Aha. So I was looking at this chart and I did a review on it way back in March of last year. And I used the Fibonacci retracement to do some extensions, right? And I was covering this with my friend Angel. And we said take profit zone 1 was here and take profit zone 2 was here, just by the Fibonacci extensions, right? Now, back then, the chart looked like this, you know, and so we drew off the Fibonacci. We drew it off of this, and sure enough, not a bad take profit 1 zone, but look where it went, right? Now, the first time it busted all the way through that, but it closed right around that level both times, this day and this day. No, that day it closed there, it opened there, and then it went down, and then it ran back and retested this. Now, Matic, a lot of people are bullish on. I'm also bullish on it. I think generally we're seeing this trend go upwards like this. Just from now, it's not as cheap as it used to be, and I'm highly biased because I remember the days when Matic was like 2 cents and 1 cent, and even like 20 cents when we were covering it here, and 25 cents. So for me, I'm like, I see $1.60 Matic and it seems so expensive, and I'm looking for the next thing that will go for like from 2 cents to $1, and that fits my investment profile better. I do have a few things that are blue chips, but just very few, and I've actually been selling some of my blue chips for some of these higher risk projects, as continuing with my thesis that if during a massive bull run, the higher risk stuff does really well. Now, during the pullbacks, they get absolutely savaged compared to the blue chips, which also get hurt, but they get savaged. Now, let's see. Spot on multiple. Yeah. Let's see. I want to share something. How are we doing on time? It is flying by today. I think there's a few spots left for this. Now, I first bought 6 of these, and I went in and I bought like, I think I have a total of 13 of these now. And I wasn't able to get a whitelist spot for these. I just, I didn't go through all the steps that were needed to get a whitelist spot. Thankfully, they didn't sell out from just their whitelist. And let's see what they're at. Okay. Oh, they're almost sold out. 61 of 7,777 total OG Rexes. Now, if you've never seen these before, what is so important about these? Well, there is this interesting subset of projects working together. Crypto Walkers is one, and all these projects are working with Network, which we've covered in the past, which is a virtual reality metaverse, or I don't say virtual reality, it's a metaverse, and that they're working with these projects, these NFT projects, to bring their 3D art into the ecosystem, the characters, as well as the games. So Crypto Walkers, Angry Apes Army, which is done one. I remember the days when Angry Apes Army was like 0.15, and they're now, I think their floor is like 2.5 to 4 ETH, depending on, and even higher than that for some of their really great OG apes. It's amazing what's going on. Let me just show you this clip showing what this NFT, the way NFTs are going. So Crypto Walkers does have their own NFTs. This is kind of what they look like. I'll show those in a sec, but wanted to share this video. Let's see if I can. Now, this is specifically one of their zombie ones that they have like a burst skill. But yeah, if you were lucky during the mint, you got one of these zombie ones, and they have regular characters running around, and this is what those regular characters can look like, right? And they've got some weapons, and looks really, really cool. Well, a lot of these projects, the Crypto Walkers and Jurrasic Punks, are working together in a lot of collaborative ways, all working with Network's team. And I'm curious to see where this all goes. Now, I've heard a lot of good things from behind the scenes about Jurrasic Punks, and a lot of people I know really wanting to get these. So I didn't think I'd be able to get some, was grateful that I was able to. Now, the general market is down. It is a really big deal that this is selling out its first day, even while the market is down. And my guess is it'll be sold out in their first day. So there's just about 1,500 left. Not financial advice. This is just what I bought a bunch of. If you're really lucky, like look at this skin, that would be amazing. Or check out this NFT. Yeah, I like it. And imagine being able to play that character in a game. So we'll see how this comes together. It's cool what's happening in this space. And we are seeing an evolution in where this is all gone, because a lot of these early NFTs like Crypto Punks end up becoming a profile pic, and it ended up being a status symbol. And then Bored Ape Yacht Club really nailed it when they said, okay, in order to get access to our private Discord, you have to have one of our NFTs, and they figured out a way to verify that. And they created this club around it that then became so popular. A lot of the top people in the space were getting some. And then that even spread to pop culture wanting some Bored Apes and as a profile pic. And the next evolution of those profile pics is really actual utility. And we're seeing some of these projects that are partnered with Network developing that utility. We have a bunch of news, so why don't we get over to some news? Coinbase has added Cardano staking rewards. That's big, right? So that you can just hold it right on Cardano and be able to get some of your staking rewards. For a lot of people that, you know, I'm really deep in this space, spend a lot of time every day. Now, I know there's a lot of people that like can't dig in as deep as me. And sometimes they just want to hold blue chips and they just want staking rewards and other things. And this is a perfect opportunity for those that are bullish on Cardano that don't have the time to spend hours and hours per day in the crypto space, that just want something that over the coming 10 years has a strong chance to outperform some of their other options. All right, Metaverse Fashion Week, 70 brands do their best to showcase style in Decentraland. So you're seeing a lot of money come into the metaverses, right? And there are some announcements about Jurrasic punks that I don't know if they're confirmed, so I won't bring them up, but a major clothing brand. I know a lot of the people behind it have worked with major brands. And possibly a major clothing brand that's going to do like something along this line with Jurrasic punks.
Yeah, and Jay, this one is, I mean, we've seen, like, especially Adidas. It seems like Adidas has gone pretty, you know, not all in, but you know, they're pretty heavy in the NFT world. And yeah, I just, you know, some of the brands that were in that, and I'm trying to even find the article, but you know, it's Estee Lauder and, you know, just like there were different
that haven't been
Dolce and Gabbana, Forever 21, you know, all these different brands. And so it just is, you know, it's just another example of mass adoption that's coming sooner than later.
Awesome. Well, I'm seeing the dominoes stack up, and I think I know what it adds up to. What are your thoughts? You seeing those same dominoes? Are you bullish on the coming 3 or 4 months? Now, unfortunately, we're out of time for today. If you haven't already, join the Rainmaker family. That's as simple as liking this video, subscribing with that all notification bell enabled. If you're a long-term subscriber, if you haven't already, make it rain on that like button for us. We really appreciate that. Now, I do take a contrarian approach. I do know, for me, it's worked really well. If I couple that with fundamental analysis, and then I add in a lot of patience, over time, it's done tremendous for me. That's why I share what I try to be as a crypto channel that I wish I had when I was new to crypto. But I have an analytical mind. I like fundamentals. I like to understand what is good about a team behind the project, what is also specifically good about their narrative, because investing is risky. That just helps me minimize the risk and minimize losses, though losses will still happen. Sometimes teams fail, even if they have a great one. That's part of the investing space. And so that I can hopefully take smart risks for those potential amazing rewards. And I just like to share my thought process with you. We do a live stream Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 11 a.m. Pacific, and now an additional VV live stream Wednesday evenings at 7:30 p.m. Pacific. And we also sometimes have shorter videos that launch throughout the week. Thanks so much for joining us. Remember, no rain, no gain.
Into the space, chasing all of the gains, chasing the pumps and all of the hype trains. But like in life, shit right before you could. Was taught to buy when it was pouring like a rainmaker should. I buy when it's down, don't chase the boats that I miss. Cause I always made the time in mind. I stick the one out cause I'm patient like that. And I'll wait for the right time. I sell when it's high, I buy when it's low. They call me rich, they call me smart. I'm just a rainmaker running the show. Calculated investments, I don't leave with my heart. The principles are simple, they're leaving a lot. Why when it's boring, just gotta be smart. I sell when it's hype, like all the channels they pump it. That's when I was selling, go parabolic and dump it. They call me rich, they call me smart. I'm a rainmaker, making my own start. I'm with the future, learning the past. Makes the time fly by, years going so fast. The game plan is mine, I'll own it now. When I reach the top, haters asking me how. Cause I'm a rainmaker, investments I love. And I follow what I learn, not relying on luck. Time is never better, the time like the present. The next 5 years is a gift and it's feeling like heaven. I'm committed to learn. studying to know that nothing comes easy, but with knowledge the gain show. Sticking out this road could soon will come a bear market. We're learning and growing, and when it's slow will be the target. They say it's come out, Bitcoin is dead. The massive decreases can get to your head. Sticking around, the time is better. Strong like that, I'll let the others be fretters. 2 years time, the bull will bring back the gains. That makes it worth the effort, cause here comes the rain. So let's go rainmakers, let's make it all happen. They go with the hate, say the haters be crashing. I'm here for 5 years, let's do this together.